Alright guys, welcome to the Watchman's Post channel. Call me DubPost. Today I'm going to just relax and scroll through some of the news articles, some of the headlines, some of the more important things that are going on that you might not see in other places. And maybe I'll open up an article or two and read a statement here or there. But let's get into it. To start off with, you can always click the links in my YouTube video and find my Twitter page and follow me on Twitter and click the notification bell and get all these things as I find them. As soon as they happen, I try to share them on my Twitter feed, and as things happen, you'll receive a notification and know exactly when things are happening, as they break, as the stories break. And you can always follow along with me with these other sources and catch things as they're happening. Twitter is a wonderful thing for anybody who's wanting to stay up to date on major events that are going around the world. But this one's from Newsweek, and I've seen several articles on this. It says that above the Baltics, NATO jet unexpectedly fires missile during flight with allies. So I'm going to open this up and let's see what they're talking about on this. Read it for you and see what they're saying. NATO jet accidentally fires missile during Baltic practice. And you see this little button here. If anybody's on the computer, you can always hit this and it goes into a reader version. So instead of seeing all those ads and this is Microsoft Edge. There's a bug. I'm not sure if Google Chrome has it. I don't use that as much, but it takes all those ads away and it makes it easier to read. But NATO fighter jet deployed in Northeast Europe accidentally fired a missile during training. Authorities are now looking for the ammunition, which could still be live and ready to explode. The incident took place in Estonia, but it was a Spanish Air Force jet that made the mistake during an exercise with other pilots from the NATO alliance. Estonia, alongside Latvia and Lithuania, does not have its own. And before I flip to the next page and continue reading, let's pop a map open and see exactly what it is they're talking about here, on the map, so we can have a visual reference to know the general area they're talking about. So they said what? They said this is happening. The incident took place in Estonia. So up here on the border with Russia here, and I'll back out, make this easy for you. There's a little gnat not making it easy for me today. But so here's Russia, Moscow, and they're saying this took place up here in Estonia on the border with Russia. So I think it's always good to give a visual reference as to where this is taking place, so you can get an idea of what's going on. Now, this isn't anything majorly important, but it's something that just happened, and I think it's pretty relevant to put in your mind. So, and they're saying that it was happening along. They were doing an exercise with Latvia and Lithuania. Lithuania does not have its own fighter jets, and bigger allies such as Spain take turns sending a total of around a dozen jets with pilots to patrol the skies of the three countries, all of which border Russia. So they're saying that all these European countries work together because they're saying Lithuania doesn't have their own fighter jets. So Spain takes turns and they come out and do a patrol and fly around. But generally they're doing practice runs and trying to stay on alert for anything that might break off with Russia. And for those who don't know, there's tensions with Russia right now like there hasn't been since the Cold War, and they've been saying that for years. So and that Spanish jet was up there and they fired a missile. The air-to-air missile has not hit any aircraft, the Spanish Defense Ministry said in a statement about the unprecedented launch. of the air-to-air missile on Tuesday. It added that 3 other planes flew alongside the offending aircraft during the drill, including another Spanish Eurofighter and 2 Dassault Mirage 2000 jets sent by the French armed forces. After the incident, planes returned safely to the airbase. The incident took place over southeastern Estonia. The missile could potentially carry 22 pounds of explosives, and authorities last located its movement to around 24 miles north of Tartu. In such cases, launched missiles often self-destruct. However, it is still unclear whether this was the case on Tuesday. This was the first ever such incident for the NATO mission in the Baltics, Estonia. Colonel Village, commander of the country's airborne force, told public broadcaster ERR. Defense Ministry Luik said that the incident was unfortunate, but stressed that such bungled launches of deadly ammo were highly uncommon, especially when it comes to the NATO air mission in the Baltics. The mission enjoys strong support from the governments of all 3 countries. The most important thing is to ensure safety and in cooperation with the allies to find out what has happened, Luik said. Estonia's military is currently investigating the incident. So, you know, I'm not going to read too much more into that, but generally they were doing some type of training drill or whatever, and fired a missile, and it went really close. And I've seen other reports on my Twitter feed, and they were saying that it went like within 23 miles of the Russian border, and it was a almost incident, something just for talking purposes, just to throw out a topic out there. That could accidentally start a war with these guys. They could accidentally throw a missile over there, and something could break off. It's very, very interesting, very important things to watch for like that. So that's very interesting. Here's a report that the Israeli Defense Force is better prepared than it has been in 20 years. So they're ratcheting up their military powers and capabilities, because things are looking very tense on the border with Iran and down south with Gaza. Here's a report from RT saying that Russia is preparing for next generation nuclear subs, and I haven't read that one, but it just shows you another snapshot, another example that Russia is building up their forces. They're trying to increase their military capabilities in every field, in every area that they can, and this is just another example that they're trying to make even better nuclear subs. And it's pretty well stated that Russia does have probably the best subs in the world, and that's what they've been known for up until this year, where now they've got these super weapons. And if you hadn't seen my last video I just made, go check that out. Can World War III start soon? And it's a video I just made about all of the weapons that Russia has just come out with, and inform the world that they have lots of new super weapons. Here's one from 2 hours ago this morning. The Royal Navy monitors Russian warships in the English Channel. So let's pull up a map, and I should probably just leave the map open. And what are they talking about? The English Channel. So we can get an idea on the map here. English Channel. Where's the English Channel? All right. So they're saying this is the English Channel. Right here. And they're getting Russian warships out here. And from what I've seen, Russia likes to do is they take off from up here somewhere and come around and go around that area. And side note, they're taking over this area here. They call it the Sea of Azov, and I might scroll through and find you some articles on that. But this is the Crimea and Ukraine, and they're saying that Russia's working to try to take this little sea of Azov, if that's how you pronounce it, take it over. They want to completely take control of it, and they're pretty much taking control of who comes in and out of there, because you can get in and out right here. I'm not sure if you can get in and out over there or not, but generally this is the way they get in and out on a regular basis, and Russia's controlling this little passage in and out like it's their area already. And then this is the Black Sea, and it opens up right here's a passage for ships to get in and out right by Turkey, and then they get out and go down here, and this is the Mediterranean Sea right out beside Israel. But so Russia's been working really hard in this, if you don't know anything about the Ukraine and Crimea area, and the reason is they want to use this access to get their navy out through this area, and that's going to make it easier if World War III broke out and they had this control over these sea accesses, that would make it easier for them to defend this area and attack the rest of Europe over here. But still, a lot of times they come from around this way. But they're working to take this whole area over. So that's something to keep in mind, just general information. But so let's open this Reuters article open and see what they're talking about. Now, the Royal Navy would obviously be England. All right, so it says the Royal Navy monitors Russian warships in the English Channel, and I just showed you where that is. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, I'm gonna start hitting this little button here and open it up in reading mode. It's not as pretty, but I'm not gonna have all those ads and everything. London Reuters, a British destroyer has shadowed 2 Russian warships as they pass through the English Channel for the second time this year, the Royal Navy said. So the Russians are coming down here and rolling through this English Channel. Like, why are they doing that? Why would you think Russia would take their warships and roll through here? You know, it's not cargo ships. They're not transporting anything, and they're not out doing business. They're just out on a stroll with destroyers, and they're going to roll through the English Channel. It's intimidation tactics. It's military intimidation tactics. HMS Diamond sailed from Dover as a destroyer, and that must be Russian, Servomosk, and cruiser Marshal Yasnava passed by on Tuesday. This is the routine business for Royal Navy, and the second time my ship's company have undertaken such an escort duty this summer, said Commander Ben Keith of HMS Diamond. In January, Royal Navy frigate HMS Westminster was sent to monitor 4 Russian vessels as they passed close to British waters. The 2 frigates, and again, that's some Russian names. So 2 Russian frigates and support vessels were believed to be returning from operations in the Middle East over Christmas. So that was, you know, at the beginning of the year. A British ship escorted new Russian warship Admiral Gravoskov as it passed near UK territorial waters. And this is a real short one. And that's it. So, you know, that's really interesting. You know, and I like to jump around just as to show you as the this information shows up on my feed. As I find it, I retweet it or whatever, and I'm showing you, you know, open it up and showing you why that's interesting, man. The Russians are rolling through the English Channel, intimidating England and Europe, showing what they can do, and it shows the tensions, you know, of the international tensions. But I'm gonna leave the map open. Let's see what else we got. What else can we find on the Watchman's Post Twitter feed here? Okay, so this just happened the other day, and there's lots of agencies continuing to report on it, but they're saying that this guy is the foreign minister for North Korea, and we've got sanctions on North Korea, and we've just put sanctions on Iran the other day, reinstated the sanctions on Iran. And as soon as we did that, the foreign minister for North Korea goes and visits Iran. And that shows, again, the alliance that North Korea has with all of our so-called enemies throughout the world. And I'm gonna open up a picture here, and here's a image that I got and doctored it up and made it the way I wanted it to. But to me, this is the new axis of evil in regards of Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. And here they are: Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. And in this article, the foreign minister from North Korea is going and visiting Iran. And if you didn't already know, North Korea has great alliance and ties with China and Russia. And this is just showing their alliance with Iran. As we place sanctions on Iran, North Korea is coming out and shaking hands with them and saying, welcome to the sanctions club, but guys. But they're saying that by strengthening relations with Iran, which is at odds with the U.S., North Korea is sending a message to Washington that it will not give in to the U.S. pressure campaign. So, North Korea hasn't given in to any sanctions, and they're saying they're not going to, and that's what this statement's making. And Iran's saying, we're not going to give in to any pressure that you're putting on us either. And I'm showing, this is a World War III alliance. The tensions are growing hotter and hotter day by day on a daily basis. And to me, this is the red horse from Revelation. This is the new alliance. This is going to be one side, our opposing side during World War III. And I even have a Bible verse to associate with that. Let's see, I got several Bible verses. This is my little notepad, and I just keep lots of stuff that I actively use all the time. Jeremiah 50 verse 9, it says, Lo, I will rise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations. And I usually put that Bible verse with this. This is an assembly of great nations. People sleep on North Korea and think that it's a small nation. But if you do your research and you look it up, North Korea has one of the most powerful militaries in the world. I used to think North Korea was a joke too until I started studying and looking at it. And North Korea is a major military threat. They have one of the largest armies in the world. So not only does it say an assembly of great nations from the North country, and generally Russia and North Korea and China, it doesn't. Russia at bare minimum you would say is a North country. North Korea, but if you look at it, our maps are always shown to us, in a easy to read version. But if you really look at it on like a globe perspective, and here I cropped up a picture more on a globe perspective. Think of it more like this instead of that flat version map like this. Remember, we're on a spherical surface, so look at it from this aspect as if the United States would be in the southern region and Russia would be in the northern region, and then it's kind of upside down from this point. And I'll make this one small for a comparison. But now think about China and Russia and North Korea and Iran would all be north from our perspective if you looked at it like that. So if you were looking at the world like this and thinking about that Bible verse, they would all be from the North country. So it could be just a matter of perspective. And it says, they shall set themselves in array against her, from thence she shall be taken. And obviously we're all setting in array against them, and they're setting array against us. So meaning tensions and war. They're gonna come against Babylon, and it's always referred to as a woman. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. And in my past video I said, if missiles go out, they don't come back, So think of those missiles, and God's talking to, an ancient man who's never seen a missile before. and I'll just pull this up just for reference, a missile. Think of that missile as if it's an arrow to an ancient man, and it goes out and it doesn't come back. It doesn't come back in vain. It's going to hit its target, and it's going to do the destruction it was intended to do. And I believe that, yeah. So that's about the whole of that Bible verse. But so my point is, again, you can see the alliance with North Korea, Iran, and obviously Russia and China with North Korea. And all these guys are what I'm saying is the new axis of evil. Or in that Bible verse, they're calling them the assembly of great nations, is what I think God's calling this group of guys. And we've got sanctions on Russia, we've got sanctions on China, or at bare minimum we've got a trade war with China. I'm sure you know about that. Sanctions on Iran, sanctions on North Korea. These are our enemies. We're sanctioning them like crazy, and it's pretty obvious who we're up against if you're looking at the news and the headlines. And I'm not even going to open that up. I'm going to scroll through some more. This one's about the sanctions on Iran. Tehran is the capital of Iran, is determined to deepen cooperation with Pyongyang, which is North Korea. And that's coming from the Iranian president, Hosseini Rouhani. I don't even know if that's pronouncing his name right. But again, this picture's, I'm going to just leave it up because this seems to be really relevant to the articles I'm showing right now. So Tehran's the capital of Iran. Pyongyang is the capital of North Korea, and they're saying we're going to deepen our alliance with these guys because of the sanctions that America is putting on us. It's just making their alliance grow stronger, and they're coming together more and more because we're against them. This one's a little interesting, but not so important. North Korea is increasing direct flights with Chinese on the border city. And I haven't read that one, but they've been reporting for a while now that they've seen a lot more activity with, and again, this picture is very relevant. A lot more activity with the Chinese and the North Koreans. They're flying over into China more and more and more. And that's just another little snapshot as to how strong their alliance is, and the more pressure we're putting on these guys, the stronger their alliance is becoming. Now this guy Abe is the president of Japan, and this Gutierrez guy is a big shot in the United Nations. I don't get it too deep into the politics of the United Nations, how it works, but basically he's a big shot at the United Nations. So Japan and the United Nations agreed to keep sanctions on North Korea, and that's generally what our side of the field is agreeing, that we're going to continue to put as much pressure as we can on North Korea until they finally decide that we need to denuclearize, so our economy can come back. All right, so this agency is called TRT World, and like I've said in many of my videos, I follow news agencies from all over the world to show you that I'm not biased or getting one source of information. I like to get information from all over the world so I can get the bigger perspective of what's really going on. If you listen to one outlet and they don't tell you the whole truth or only parts of the information, then you're never going to see the big picture and get the whole story. But this is from Turkey. This is a news agency from Turkey, TRT World. And they're reporting on the new sanctions that America has just put on Iran. And they're saying Trump describes the first round of sanctions imposed on Iran on Tuesday as the most biting sanctions ever imposed. So the hardest hitting sanctions we could hit on them. And there's a tweet I think I got in this feed, if I get around to finding it, that Trump was on Twitter and elaborating on that same thing, saying how strong the sanctions he put on Iran are, and warned that anyone doing business with Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, would not be doing business with the U.S. So he's saying, not only are we putting maximum pressure on North Korea, but we're going to put maximum pressure on Iran as well. So this just escalates tensions as far as conflict and war is concerned. So it's something to put in your mind for a puzzle piece for the big picture. Things are getting tense internationally with many countries. And again, what's this talking about? That axis of evil, or like I said, what did God call it? He called it the assembly of great nations. So it involves these same countries. Here's another article, and this is from a Chinese agency, CGTN. And you can always get on Twitter and scroll through my feed and find these different articles or news agencies, so that you can get this stuff for yourself. But there's another article basically talking about, again, that Spanish jet accidentally fires a missile over Estonia. So all over the world they're talking about that. They think it's a very important article to share with everybody. Same agency, different topic. U.S. DPRK, which is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is North Korea, Kim Jong-un, sharply differ on denuclearization process. And generally what they're saying with that is, we want them to go ahead and start their denuclearization process and give everything up. And when they give up everything and they denuclearize, then we'll take off the sanctions. And North Korea has recently come out, and I'll find some more articles through this feed and show you. And it gets kind of repetitive to only show you how important it is and how everybody in the world's talking about it. But North Korea said that they want to do a phased process. We give up a little bit and you relieve sanctions a little bit. They don't want to just give up everything and then get, a prize for their denuclearization. They want it to be a give and take and a slow, staged process. So we're at odds at how things are going to progress from here. This is another one, and this is, if you see right here, it says show this thread. You can always click on that, and I'll open it up in a different window here and show you this. That means I've got all these articles thread together about one topic. So this is an entire thread about nothing but North Korea news. So if you're just interested in that and you see a thread on it, you can click that thread and just read about those articles there. But this one says Russia continues to violate North Korea's sanctions. So what does that go back to? It goes back to that assembly of great nations in the Bible, or what I'm calling the new axis of evil. And Russia's breaking our sanctions and the United Nations sanctions so that they can continue to do business with North Korea, even though we've basically outlawed it. And China's breaking the sanctions too. And then, I just showed you that Iran is going and shaking hands with North Korea. And here's another example of this strong alliance. These are the four big players for the World War III, opposing side. It's coming, guys. So they're continuing to violate the sanctions, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop. And this is Ambassador John Bolton, and this is from Fox. So yeah, I do use regular old mainstream articles from time to time. And he's saying, we're going to continue to apply maximum pressure to North Korea until they denuclearize. So another article saying they're not going to relieve any sanctions. North Korea is calling that we relieve the sanctions, and all of our representatives are saying the same thing. We're not going to relieve any sanctions until you get rid of your nukes. So they want a phased process, and we're saying that ain't happening. We're not agreeing to that. It's not going to happen. Here's a CNBC article. America's top nuclear commander says that Russia and China can't be our friends if they're developing weapons we can't deter. And again, you can see it's real simple. It's not complicated. It's not hard to follow. These are the four countries you need to watch, and these are the four countries that we're having tensions with mainly, as far as United States is concerned. Russia and China are building hypersonic weapons, and I've got articles in this feed that I may get to about China showing that they have these hypersonic weapons. They've just recently done a test. Russia's got all kinds of super weapons, and we're saying that, you know, all the weapons, as far as, you know, nation versus nation's concerned, stayed at a stage and a stalemate for a long time. And because Russia and China are building more weapons that we can't defend ourselves against, they're changing the balance of the peace that we've had for so long now. And the Americans' top nuclear commander saying, you know, we can't be friends with you if you're breaking the balance. We've had an even stalemate, and you're changing that, and that's not good. Here's an article talking about China's hypersonic missile can fire nukes at 6 times the speed of sound. So like I was just talking about up there, the let's see, the commander was saying, you know, we can't be friends with Russia and China if they're developing weapons that we can't deter, meaning that they can't defend you against the weapons that China and Russia are coming out with. And here's a perfect example. This is SCMP News, and it's South China Morning Post. So it's a Chinese out of Hong Kong, China, and the rest of Asia. It's a Chinese news agency, and they're reporting that they've just test fired a hypersonic missile that can carry nuclear warheads 6 times the speed of sound. You know, and just going so fast makes it incredibly hard to stop. And they're saying these new weapons, that these hypersonic weapons, super weapons that China and Russia are coming out with, not only is it so fast that you can't stop it, but they're able to change trajectory and change up direction on you, making it nearly impossible to stop. Here's another article. North Korea's foreign minister visits Iran, and that's CNN. New commander of submarine forces tells sailors prepare for battle. So the new commander just came in. They had a change of command, and old commander comes out, and a new commander comes in. And as soon as he gets in, he tells his sailors, prepare for battle. That's what the military is telling their soldiers and their enlisted men. Might want to take that seriously. Estonia Army confirms NATO's accidental missile fire near Russian border. So again, earlier they're talking about up here that missile, and this is an Arabic source, and they call themselves the Arab source, Al Masdar News, and they got lots of great stuff. Like I said, I'm not biased as to where I get my information. If 3 or 4 different places are all saying the same thing, then I guess you can trust it. If one article is coming from one place, it's you got to have to take their word at it. Here's an article talking about the Azov Sea could become Russia's, and NATO won't help. And this is coming from a British expert. And if you remember what I was talking about earlier, this is the Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and right here, this little spot right here, this is called the Sea of Azov. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but the point is Russia's come in, they've invaded part of Ukraine and Crimea and even Georgia. I mean, that's how close we are to a World War III with Russia. They're already invading parts of, you know, other countries. And they're saying that Russia's working to take over the Sea of Azov. They haven't officially taken it over, but they're already, you know, patrolling who comes through this little strait right here. And they're saying if somebody doesn't step up and do something about it, they're going to take full control of this little sea right there. And that's majorly important, like I said, for military strategic, you know, plans and potential conflicts. They want this region, for one, so that you can't get in closer to the actual border of Russia, and then it gives them access to attack Europe more and close off any of these areas from you getting in there and invading them and what have you. So it's very important, and they want all this access to get out of here, so they can have sea access. Because as of right now, you really start thinking about it. Oh, this is ice. I'm sure you know, and Russia's going to have to get out icebreakers, and they've got icebreakers in order to break up the ice just to get their ships to go around. Or out here, it's you know, that's Alaska. They're going to have to get icebreakers out here to get out. So if they want to come through this area, they got to take the long way around. And that's generally their only option. Coming through here, they're going to have a lot of trouble, you know, fighting with our forces, European NATO forces, to get through here. But they're still working on it, and they want as much of this as they can. And that's an access way that we generally control, and they want to fight us here and take it back. But so other than coming on this side or from the north, they've got limited access to get out onto the ocean. So they want to take this as an access to get out into the ocean, get into Europe and defend themselves against our forces coming in to an attack in this area. And like I said, there's lots of activity going on with Ukraine and Crimea and Georgia. Just look it up, and I may scroll through and show you some articles on that, depending on what all's in my feed today. Here's another article. White House advisor Bolton urges North Korea to act on denuclearization. So what is he saying? This is Channel News Asia, by the way, so it's not right or left out of America. This is a Asian source, and he's saying basically, you're not doing anything. You know, they've reported that North Korea's dismantled a little launch test site or something, but everybody's saying that those little test stands that they've taken away were useless because they weren't using them anyway. At the beginning of the year, this year, North Korea came out, Kim Jong-un came out, made a statement that he didn't need to do any testing anymore, and that all their efforts were going into producing more missiles, and they didn't need to test anymore. So if you don't need to test anymore, you know, is it a big gesture to us that you want to denuclearize when you take down a test stand that you weren't using anyway? You don't need the training wheels anymore. You take them off. You know, see, I'm a good guy. You know, I got rid of my training wheels. So it's a joke. And he's saying we haven't seen you act and do anything seriously toward real denuclearization. And from my personal perspective, it looks like we've reached a standstill with North Korea. We've done all we could and talked to them as much as we could. Made as many gestures to them with, you know, peace arrangements and everything we could already, besides taking sanctions away and going ahead and writing an end to the war, which they haven't really done yet. Technically, they've got an armistice, or like a stalemate, and war's never completely been ended since the last Korean War, and they still haven't signed any paperwork to end the Korean War. So we're technically still at war with them. We're just at a stalemate point. But and those are the two things those are only two things we can do from here to give them anything more. And they're saying, you know, we're not willing to end the Korean War officially or relieve any sanctions until you denuclearize. So, you know, it's a standstill point. There's just nothing much we can do anymore from here. And if they're not willing to move, we don't have any more gifts to give them.
Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy.